And good morning is the two most handsome bald people in the north of America. Definitely more handsome than Pep Guardiola. But we're here for the pre-match for Liverpool versus some other team that dares to dress in red. But they used to be green and yellow. They look like a packet of sherbet refreshers or something like that way back when. And then decided to copy us at some point, I'm sure. That's my conspiracy theory, and that's what I'm sticking to. Cozzy, how are you this morning? At a reasonable hour for you.
This is an okay hour, mate. Yeah, I can take this. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, excited, to be honest, more than anything. I'm watching the end of the Brighton game here, where Brighton just missed 2 sitters to see if Arsenal can drop points. And then we'll concentrate on the other game, I suppose.
Then we'll concentrate on the real game for today. That just reminds me to keep those scores up as well. I think you have it right. It's always an exciting day when we're playing United. Even under the days of Roy Evans, good morning, Saidu, on the days of Roy Evans when we didn't win a lot against Man United, but you still got into those games with the air of expectation. It never goes away. This is why we come back to football all the time. This is why we're Liverpool fans, because these games, the excitement never leaves, does it?
No, mate, it's literally, listen, it's the biggest game in football. I will refuse to entertain anything else. It's, you can have your El Clasicos and whatever else. The biggest game of football is Liverpool Man United. The only reason all the other teams exist is because you'll get bored of playing Liverpool Man United every single week. But it's the one where the world stops. It's the one where the whole eyes of the world are on this game, and it's ginormous, mate. It doesn't matter where people are in the league. I remember United winning a lot of things, and then Liverpool had like a bit of a spell over them where Danny Murphy was getting winners. I think he got 3-1-0 winners, and beating them at home and stuff like that. So it's just one of those games. I don't want to say where form goes out the window, because it doesn't go out the window, but also you can be garbage and still win in this game, and still get results in this game, because Liverpool have proved that over the years. And maybe Man United can. I doubt they will, but maybe they can.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. But at the time when we were winning those 1-0s under the great Gerard Houllier, who's the anniversary of his death was this past week, great man. But my sister's then fiance was a hardcore Manchester United fan, and it was just delightful to go to his Manchester United pub all of the time, because I used to like to go to his pub and watch us win 1-0. It was fantastic. Made my Saturdays no end.
I like that.
Because it was always the manner of them, because we'd be outplayed on possession, but we just couldn't concede, because that Gerard Houllier team was quite often one of the best defensive teams around.
It's my favourite team.
It was one of my...
the 2001 team, mate, was my favourite team. Liverpool played 63 games that year. And 3 trophies, and you can only win the trophies that you're in. You know what I mean? Go deep in all the competitions. I think we finished second in the league or third in the league that year as well, behind the Man United side. So it's one of my favourite times growing up, mate. It was, I think every generation of Liverpool fans looks for their Bill Shankly after Bill Shankly, and I think for people my age, he was that, because we lost. Like Hillsborough happened, Kenny left, and it was almost like a reset for the club, and then Gerard Houllier comes along, the little French man with his we're going to be the best team in the land at one point. Yeah.
And he makes it all happen.
He was excellent, mate. And listen, it was exactly what we needed at the time as well. And again, it goes back to the point for this game. We had a bit of a hoodoo over them. We had a bit of a, Liverpool would get results, especially at Old Trafford, when we never used to really get results. And then, so it does make a difference if you can dig in these games and your bit of quality shows. The question we'll always come back to today is that do United have enough quality? If they can dig in, do they have enough quality still to get that goal? Do you know what I mean? Where Liverpool did have enough quality with Gerrard and Owen and players like that on the pitch where they could create. So I don't know if United do have that quality on the pitch where if they can dig in and still nick one. I'm not sure they can.
So good morning to Alan, and good morning to Harry with his moustache. How are you, Harry?
I'm very good this morning. I've shaved my Darwin Núñez back in as well, so I'm hoping that's a good omen for him today.
We'll have to see what hairstyle he comes up with. So Saidu says a perfect team selection today. So unless I've got it wrong, let's have a look at that. Alisson in goal, obviously. It looks like it's Endo at 6. Kanate and Van Dijk. and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch in the midfield, Salah, Nunes, and Diaz up front, and then Tsimikas and Alexander. I mean, almost an expected lineup, Harry.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think when Curtis Jones played 90 minutes in midweek, it pretty much confirmed, okay, it's going to be Gravenberch starting, and especially with Endo coming off at halftime in that game, I think this midfield three probably picks itself. And in terms of how we're planning to play, there is a tactical preview on AmericanScouser.com if you want something to read before the game, where I think Endo is going to probably drop in while we build up, and that means that Gravenberch and Szoboszlai will have room. Once Liverpool get round United's attempts to press them high, they'll have a chance for the midfield to carry the ball forward when the pitch opens up. And obviously, we know Gravenberch's really good at that. So it makes sense. I think this is the lineup probably I would have gone for, given what Klopp's got at his disposal. But obviously, a game like this, form and logic go out the window. So who knows what's going to happen.
Before I obscure you there again, what is your thoughts on that lineup? Did you expect it, or have you any concerns, or are you quite happy with what was put out?
I expected it. I wouldn't have played it. I would always still play Gakpo in these games. I do think United will put 10 behind the ball. I still think they'll dig in. They tried to do that against Bayern Munich, which was basically a testimonial for Bayern Munich at the pace the game was played at, because they have no quality going forward where they can actually hurt them on the counter. So it's actually okay digging in games, and you can dig in and put 10 men behind the ball, but if you've got no quality going the other way, then it just turns into a one-way street. And I think that's what it could be today. And I think Liverpool do need those kind of trickier players, let's say, like a Gakpo and like a Elliott, who can find a pass like in between lines. Do you know what I mean? I always go back to the Shaqiri game. There's always a reason why when Shaqiri came on, he could just find a pass, because he just dug in the game and then he brought him on. And he, you know what I mean? He was just jinking in between players and making those little kind of darts and got his shots away. So, and I think that's what an Elliott could do off the bench for Liverpool if we are struggling in the game. But I would always have Gakpo starting for Liverpool in these big football matches. I just think he provides so much quality, and he is usually a one-chance striker. Give him a chance, he can. You know what I mean? When Darwin is a 1-3 chances of a striker. But yeah, expected, mate, after the team this week with Gakpo started and those kind of stuff. So was expected.
So let's look at the United side for now. For the apparently called himself the best goalkeeper in the Champions League at one point, Onana in goal. They have, I believe, McTominay is the captain. Now, I agree with everything Cozzy is saying. There's absolutely no guarantees in a Man United-Liverpool game, but that has to be the weakest Man United side in a long, long time. Harry, what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. He started Kobbie Mainoo. Obviously, he's a really young player, and he's probably the only United midfielder who's
yes, Ryan, we do. Sorry, Harry.
He's probably the only United midfielder who's good enough to get the ball off Onana and turn around and help them play out. So the fact that he's playing in the team, even though he's only 18 and it's such a massive game, I feel like maybe Erik ten Hag is going to try and play some football, which, given the quality of this lineup, I think could be a recipe for disaster. Because as you say, like the fact that they're having to play the likes of Garnacho and Højlund and these really young, unproven players, and Johnny Evans as a centre back, like it's they're really, on paper, they are massive underdogs going into this game.
Cozzy, as we said on Thursday, the corpse of Raphael Varane, the nearly decaying corpse of Johnny Evans, and fat Luke Shaw, it's not really something that our front line should be worried about today. Oh, having said that, they could put a performance together. Mm-hmm. But if you were Salah and Nunes and Diaz and you were asked to pick a Man United back four, or at least the players that compose the back four, that weren't the under-11s, you could almost say that this would be what you'd want to face, wouldn't you?
Yes. Seems weird to me, maybe, right? Because Ten Hag and United confused a lot of me. They just confused me because he hasn't really improved the player since he's been there. But the one player he has improved is Wan-Bissaka, and now he doesn't play. It doesn't make sense to me, because if it was me, I would go just because you know what you're getting out of Wan-Bissaka. Like, he is defensively minded, where Dalot is a bit more front-footed, which would worry me for Diaz. At least Diaz should be licking his lips. Because if it was Wan-Bissaka who can just do a man marking job on you and can mark it out the game, then you could be a bit more worried. But it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, he's playing probably 4-2-3-1. He'll probably put someone alongside maybe McTominay in the 10 and probably play something weird like that. But yeah, the Evans, Varane. How much does he hate Varane? Just hates him, doesn't he? Can't stand the look of him. But I love that, by the way. Dan Alvarez just clearly hates him because he was starting like centre mids and Johnny Evans over him, and he's won 5 Champions Leagues and a World Cup, and it's just like, it's just insanity, and it's just like, I just love when you get to the stage of like a manager's tenure where you quite clearly see he hates players and he just hates his life, and he just everything that comes with it he just hates, and there's just this big thing around it. So, but that, I probably agree, that is probably one of the weakest Man United sides that I've seen. But listen, Højlund I actually quite like. I know he's going through that drought in the Champions League. His goals and his touches and that, he actually looks really good. I actually quite like him, but I hate his wingers. I think Anthony's probably, I think if the jury's out, I think the jury's made the decision on him that he's probably garbage, really, really bad at football, and the manager really needs to make it up and kiss Jadon Sancho back if he wants to keep his job. And do whatever he can to get him back on the field. And then you look at the other side with Garnacho, who's kind of like an unproven, looks okay, but is he like that flash in the pan okay as a youngster? Because that's what he is to me. I'd need to see more out of him still. I know they've got like a really big high ceiling for him. He's got a great goal against Everton, and no one's arguing that. But I don't know for me still. And yeah, the rest are just what they are, aren't they? I've never seen a team like Man United have so many run-of-the-mill Premier League footballers. They're just run-of-the-mill. There's no quality. Like, they're just like genuinely run-of-the-mill football. Like McTominay, there's probably 20 of them in the league. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just standard footballers. There's not Delo's probably loads of right backs like Delo who are just standard, aren't they? You know what I mean? So, listen, Liverpool should be really fancying it today. And listen, they probably fancied it last year, but look, they should fancy this today.
It would be, I think, probably the most like Liverpool thing in the world for Højlund to score his first Premier League goal, to go 1-0 up in this game, because it just defies all logic, and poetically it makes exact sense. So
when we say high ceilings, I didn't know he was that tall.
Hey, come on.
So let's do this. Let's look at our subs bench. We have Adrian and Kelleher. An embarrassment of riches there if we need to replace Alisson at any point. But we've got Gomez, we've got Jones, we've got Gakpo, we've got Elliott and Kwanzaa. I mean, look, Kwanzaa is a young player, but he's shown his mettle a little bit. But that's not a bad game-changing bench to have, because he is it if we need it.
It's deeper than this. But I mean, and Liverpool have still got Robertson out, Thiago out, Jota out. We've still got a McAllister out. We've still got these players out now who can come back in and replace these. It's not as deep as I'd like, but probably the 5 players you just named would be the 5 subs. You know what I mean? If Liverpool in an embarrassment of riches again, like we were last year, and the manager wants to make 5, then they're probably the options. I'm not looking past the day, far from it, but if Liverpool do go 3-4-0 up, then the manager might start thinking about Wednesday, because it is a quarter-final of a trophy, and Liverpool don't have many to win. So, we might start looking at that. But listen, mate, I think Elliott and Jones are fantastic. I thought they changed the game last week with Palace when they came off the bench. I thought they were both excellent. So, especially Elliott. I think Elliott's been Liverpool's most consistent midfielder this season, and showing a level that we all hope he can get to. People forget how young he is, by the way. I think he's still like 20, 21. It's a joke how young he is. So, yeah, mate, I'm super pleased. I am super pleased. And again, that bench is nice options. Cody Gakpo off the bench. What a joke of a hit that is.
Harry, are you happy with what we have on the bench? If we need to change things in the second half, maybe?
Yeah, I think we've had a really good return from our substitutes so far this season. You think, Elliott coming off the bench and scoring the winner against Palace. Obviously, Darwin coming off the bench scoring goals against Newcastle. Endo came off the bench when we did that big turnaround against Fulham. I think Klopp deserves a lot of credit for how he's started games and then how he's also finished games. He's managed to get these results. And a thought that just popped into my head, seeing Kwanzaa, you'd think, he'll only get on if we need to protect the lead or whatever. But actually, like, the finish that he scored against Union in midweek, if we need like a mad, like Steven Kolka vibes, like centre half going up front for the last 5 minutes, he could do a lot worse than Joao Kwanzaa. So I think we have got a lot of options off the bench.
Talking about options off the bench, let's look at the United bench. Wan-Bissaka, Reguilon, and Rashford is about it.
right? There's such a weird, it's such a weird team. Like, for example, Reguilon's on loan from fucking Spurs, and he can't wait to get rid of him. And okay, so you bring in Reguilon. Van der Beek was on loan at Everton last year. Played like 3 games, and got injured, and then it wasn't to be seen again.
I think they were saying he might go to Eintracht Frankfurt in January on loan as well.
So I mean, so you'd expect maybe like a Van der Beek not to be there. You know, it's just a weird vibe with this team. I can't put my finger on it. I watch a lot of United as well. They have no style of play. We already know this, and they have. I don't know what they're doing from each week to next. They do have one option off the bench, which is Rashford. And but the way Rashford's form is, but the problem is, mate, he is a smoky kind of player. He has green patches, doesn't he? And he has patches where he goes through 10 games and he looks unbelievable. Then he has 12 patches where he's poor. So if they're hoping maybe, you know, for the last 20, if they're in the game, they can dig in and try and win it late on, which is fine. Liverpool tried to do that against City, where we just dug in the game and tried to win it late on or try and steal something late on. And that's probably their game plan with Rashford. When you look at the rest of them, mate, it's like Hannibal's an unknown quantity and stuff like that. And, you know, they got an 18-year-old kid who's barely played football playing centre midfield at Anfield. I mean, it's a brave call from the manager there.
When we talk about substitutes, bench, and impact players changing the game, let's bring in the big boss man. Smoochen, how are you this morning?
Nervous as fuck. Like the feeling that Kazi gets, like the week before the Everton game starts, that's how the United game is for me. Like it started the middle of the day yesterday. I was like, why do I feel like this? And I'm like, the game. It just starts slowly creeping in. So cautiously optimistic, but nervous as fuck.
What do you think of the lineups? It seems to be an expected lineup from us that most people maybe with 1 or 2 changes would have expected. But that United team is all over the place, as Kazi says.
Yeah, United team is all over the place. The only thing I like seeing about that United team is looks like a team, I think Harry was mentioning it earlier, that is coming out to play, which is what I would like. Because the thing I'm afraid of is, you know, a team that sits back and tries to hit us on the counter. I just don't trust this back line as much as I used to, so something could be trouble there. If they come out to play, that plays into our hands. In terms of the lineup, I don't know. That midfield scares me. That midfield really scares me. It made me only more nervous because if we get a goal in early, it will be showtime. If we do not, that could be scary. I just worry about like the stupid set pieces Gravenberch sometimes gives away. And those are like chances for United to kind of like do something with. So little worried about that, I have to admit. I just hate being like the heavy favorites, I guess. I mean, you look at last year's game where we were the underdogs, right? They were like almost a guaranteed win. How bad is it going to be? Are they going to take the revenge of the 4-0s, 5-0s? And then we just like hammered them. That's what I worry about. The fact that it's at Anfield, I think helps a lot in that sense. But I worry as a lifestyle, people. So I started a week ago.
So here's a question for all 3 of you. In the movie Moneyball, there's a scene where Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is saying he wants to put a team out there so that he can justify it in the interviews he's going to have to go at for the following season. Is there a sense that maybe Ten Hag knows that his time is limited at Man United and now he's trying to put teams out that play the way he wants, so that when he goes for his interviews, that will be inevitable back to Ajax. You can say, look, this is how I actually want to play, even if it didn't win.
No. I think he's confused. I know what Harry's saying. He feels like it's more. Is he going to dig in or is he going to come out and play? We have no idea. Where if he would have done Wan-Bissaka, for example, and maybe a Rashford on the wing or something, where he's playing on the counter, he looks confused to me. It looks like a confused lineup, like he doesn't know where he's coming from. You know, Reguilon's been in and out. He's had Shaw centre half at one point, and then Shaw's now back left back, and it's just all a bit weird. It just doesn't feel right. Where if he would have come out and just said, as you say, Rashford on the wing and maybe a Wan-Bissaka, and kind of just even put 5 at the back, to go, okay, he's digging in. We're a bit confused about what he's doing. He's got McTominay in a 10. By the looks of this, to me, it just seems all a bit. So I just think he's confused, and he has no idea what his best lineup is, and he has no idea the lads he can trust, and it's just a bit of all screams of a mess to me.
Harry, do you think if Kazi is correct, is that the ideal state for a Klopp Liverpool team to be able to play in with a team that literally doesn't know how to join itself up together?
Yeah, well, that reminds me most of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer team he put out when we beat them 5-0, where they'd been set up to play on the counter-attack, but they just kind of decided they were going to be a pressing team because that's what good teams do. They just come and run around, and we just played around them and scored 5 goals. And then obviously they went the other way later that season with Ranić. They went 5 at the back and tried to dig in, and we just played it around them and scored. So I think the most coherent that they've been in recent years was Ten Hag last year when they beat us 2-1 at Old Trafford, because they were all 3 games in. They were like, okay, this is how the manager wants to play, so we're going to do it. We're going to actually try. And we were all over the place, and it was a very well timed game for them. I think the game comes at a horrible time for them, where especially the injuries they've got. They haven't got Casemiro, they haven't got Mason Mount. Rashford's only fit for the bench yet. He wasn't fit to play against Bayern. So I think they're just kind of all over the place. He's just putting out 11 players who he thinks he maybe might be able to trust. But they might be setting up to try and play. They might be trying to play on the counter. That lineup tells us nothing about how they're going to play in a lot of ways, because they're just so all over the place.
Timuchin, United's European foray this season has been an absolute disaster. And in previous Manchester United teams, if something like that would happen, you would expect a response in the next league game. But do you get any sense from this United team that they have any fight whatsoever?
I mean, honestly, I think you saw as much of a response as you're going to see how they played against Bayern. I mean, I thought, they didn't play that bad. You would think on paper Bayern would hammer them a lot more, but I thought they played pretty decent, at least kept it close. I don't think this team, honestly, in some ways, I wish they didn't have the injuries. I wish more of their regulars were starting, because they're the ones with the bad attitude. It just worries me more when you see some of these young guys, because they might play with a better attitude and not just freaking if their regulars started. Once we go up, I know the heads would go down and it would be a lot easier game. I don't know if that's going to happen as much, but going back to what Kazi is saying, I mean, it's kind of difficult for these younger players to come and play at Anfield when senior players say how tough it is to play there. So putting a kid out there is a big risk. The good thing is, if it's a Mourinho team that comes over and, they're going to set up to defend and then counter, I feel like you worry a bit more because his teams know how to defend, because that's how they play. When you have a coach, you would think if he's trying to keep his job, he would focus on defending first, if you're looking to win and get anything out of this game, that's probably what you're doing, right? You're looking at the Liverpool team, you collect your team, you're like, hey, the only chance we have is to really sit in the back. And then if we hit him on the counter, we hit him on the counter. Even a 0-0 draw, we're leaving here happy. But that's not his style. And I would think, when you try to change that style, even if he says, guys, we're going to sit back, that doesn't work when the manager normally wants to play out and attack. And then suddenly says, on this day, we're all going to sit back. That team does not know how to stay compact and stuff like that. So it does not work as well. That's what I'm hoping for. Even if this lineup says, hey, they're going to really sit back, I feel like it's not a team used to sitting back. So we will still be able to find our openings.
Kazi, this specific question is for you. Is this a game where Núñez will actually hit his shots on target and towards the net?
If he hits a shot on target, he'll get 40 a year. But he doesn't. But that's you know what I mean? It's the same thing, isn't it? If my auntie's my uncle kind of thing. So it's just it just is what it is. That's who he is now. I don't know who he is. They think of he's young and he needs time. Well, he's the same age as Cody Gakpo.
Is it possible that Onana, though, is the one goalkeeper you want to face?
It helps because he is a poor goalkeeper. I know that's whatever you like. I don't care about fun. He's a bad goalkeeper. His position is all wrong. He anticipates too early, so he dives the wrong way. Then the lad just pots in the opposite corner, like for the Kingsley Coleman goal this week. He's a poor keeper. He should be on Coleman's toes for that goal. He should be standing next to him in front of his face. Go and get your shot off. He doesn't. He's a bad goalkeeper. It is what it is. So that's another thing that helps Liverpool on, by the way. Because Liverpool, if I was Jurgen Klopp, mate, I'd be going in the first 10. You can have 3 or 4 shots in the first 10. Let's see where he's at today. Let's just see where he's at. If he makes 3 blinding saves, then it's going to be a tough day. Then we need to create better chances to open it up. It was a bit like the Palace game last week. I felt like when that keeper came on, and he's a championship keeper, and then Harvey Elliott must have just said to him, have a shot. See what he's like, just chance your arm at him. And then bang, Liverpool score 2. So it's just, you know what I mean? It does help, mate. But I've just looked there, by the way. They've lost 7 this year, They haven't drawn a game. They haven't drawn one game. They've won 9, lost 7. They've lost the same amount of games as Bournemouth and Everton. This is a bad football team. This is not a good footy team.
They're either on or they're off. I think that's the thing.
It's just but even the times that they're on, they're beating Luton 1-0, 2-1. They're not playing well when they're winning games. They're just getting over the line by beating the garbage. So it's just a bit, I don't know. I can't believe how many games they lost. And then they've lost 3 or 4 in the Champions League.
Don't they still have a negative goal differential, too?
Yeah, they're on a negative goal difference. They're like 8th now because of the games today, with like -3. Like, it's just a weird game. It's just, they're just not good. I don't know.
I think just by mentioning all that now, Timuchin's worry levels have gone through the roof.
Actually, when you mentioned Nunez, my worry went through the roof. With Onana, yeah, I think I agree with Kazi. I mean, that's like the way to attack him, right? I mean, and it helps when the defense does not trust the guy behind them. So it helps your job, and you do maybe step up for those shots afterwards and then open gaps behind you and stuff like that. So it does help, man. That's the problem, man. This is why I worry so much, because on paper and everything, you look at it, you're like, come on. But we know this team, when it's like a case where you just say, come on, they usually come out flat. This whole 57,000 Anfield United, hopefully that'll be the reason. I'd be probably worried even more if it was Sheffield or something. I wouldn't be as nervy, but I would worry more that they would come out flat. That's my only concern, is that we're going to come out flat. They're going to think, well, we're right now thinking. You look at the lineup, you look at their goal, you look at, is there one player on that 11 that you would want right now on your club?
No, maybe Kobe Mainu as a backup, but I haven't seen enough of him. But no, they're all garbage.
That's what I mean. I mean, how often do we say that? I know we hate him. It's hard to say anyway, but at least normally you can say, well, we can use a guy like that or something like that if he wasn't United related before. You just don't even say that when you look at that 11, which worries me even freaking more.
I would pick Luke Shaw just to have him on the team coach in case the coach ever went over a cliff and we needed ballast at the back to stop it from falling over. That's what I would do.
I mean, Luke Shaw, man. He's another weird one, and he's been there for years. And like the Martial thing, and he's been there for like 8 years, and he just hasn't done anything. It's a bit like the Luke Shaw thing, isn't it? He's just been there for years, and he just hasn't done anything. Just gone 200 grand a week probably, and he's another one of that team, isn't it? That old style of way of doing how they do this. It's just so weird, mate.
This is a true fact that like Man United used to be one of the biggest contributors to homeless food causes. The leftover foods after the games at Old Trafford until Luke Shaw signed, and then they've not been able to donate a single. I knew where it was
going. The world would have started.
I know. Tell me right now. He needs Jesus. He needs Jesus. Come on.
Right, so before we go into score predictions, just to remind everybody to make sure they're following us on the social medias, on the YouTube. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and as Victor says, smashing that button, but also tapping it gently if you have an old keyboard on the Facebook and the Instagram, and then the artist formerly known as Twitter as well. You've got to get on all of those things. Make sure you're getting all of our fresh content right at the second, and that you're contributing and joining in the conversations, especially on the Discord channel, which is an insane place. So if you want to know what insanity looks like, join the Discord channel and just wait 10 seconds. It'll come along. It's like
when the getting beat, join the Discord channel.
So let's go around. We'll start with Harry, then Timuchin, then Kazi. Harry, what's your score prediction, and do you have any special score in mind for any goals?
Yeah, I in the written piece that's up on the website, I said 3-1.
Which everybody should read.
So I'm going to stick with that 3-1 Liverpool. I think United will probably score first, but Liverpool will win 3-1.
Timuchin, now that your nerves have just been frayed by Harry.
I'm going with I'm hoping for like an easy 4-1, but worried that it's going to be a nervy 2-1 win.
Kazi.
You know what? I've been confident all week. Really confident. Like, oh, just batter these. And do you know how we got here? And it's like 20 minutes before the game. I'm even more confident. 5-0 Liverpool.
Oh, God.
On a serious note, yeah, if Liverpool score in the first 10, they'll have flashbacks.
Yeah.
I've never seen a team this season just throw it in as much as they do. As soon as a little bit of fucking trepidation in a game, and you go 1-0 down, you just throw it in, just literally can't be bothered with this. So if Liverpool do score in the first 10, it could be a bloodbath again. But to be fair, I do expect like a stinky, horrible, nasty game, and it's going to be, probably 2-1, 3-1 maybe. But if Liverpool score in the first 10, expect blood.
I am going to stick with my Thursday night prediction of a 4-0. I just think we're going to score like early. I think we are going to score early. We're going to test that keeper, and then after that, I think you're right. I think it'll be like the Apocalypse Now, Vietnam War, PTSD.
Mark, I do want to mention, mate, right, that I think the players, if I know what Tim mentioned about starting flat, after City dropping points yesterday, you shouldn't start flat, boys. Fucking hell, you shouldn't need another little boost to start flat in a game. City don't play now until Boxing Day because they're at the Club World Cup, and they're playing Everton away, who just found form. We've won the last 4, which is a tough game. You know what I mean? Before you know it, Liverpool, by you get to Boxing Day, you could be 9-10 points clear of City, which is insane to even think about. So we have to win this game no matter what. Just win the fucking game.
I think everybody would agree with that anyway, but against United and in the position we're in, I think that would be the only way to approach this game. Doesn't matter how pretty, just beat them, get the points, and then looking forward to Wednesday. So we will be back for the post-match. We certainly won't start flat on that, but we'll start flat because I'm hosting it.
Get the donuts ready, Mark.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So I actually have Irish potato chips as well. I'm treating myself, and a box of Heroes, Cadbury's Heroes too. I'm doing well for Christmas. So that's how it remains. It's coming up 12 minutes to the game. So that gives everybody plenty of time to get coffee, donuts, tea, whatever it is you want to drink. I'll be here. We will be joined by whichever drunken cast members from American Scouser TV are sober enough to switch their phones on. We will see everybody after the game. Enjoy it. Cross all the fingers, and let's hope Darwin Núñez hits a ball in off the post and Onana's head to start us off. We'll see you later. Peace out, everybody. Here's the 70s porn.